The college rule is a guideline for students to figure out how much study time they should set aside in order to succeed in all of their classes. It states that for every hour inside class each week, a student will need to work on learning activities 2 to 3 hours outside of class in order to succeed. Credit hours are based on how many classroom hours per week a class will meet. Math 152 is a 5 credit hour course. This means it meets 5 hours per week. Applying the college rule, we would multiply 2 times 5 and 3 times 5 to find our study hour range. Therefore, one would need to spend an additional 10 to 15 hours per week on Math 152 in order to be successful. A 12 credit hour course load is considered a full-time job. If we take the college rule and multiply 12 credit hours by 2 and 3, we get a range of study hours from 24 to 36. So 24 to 36 hours of extra learning time should be scheduled in order to be successful in all college courses. How does this equal a 40-hour work week? Well, if we take the 12 credit hours, that's the time in class, and add the 24 study hours, that would give us 36 hours. That's our minimum amount of time we would spend to succeed. If we take that 12 credit hours in class and add it to the 36 study hours, that would give us a total of 48 hours per week in order to succeed. So that is a 40-hour work week. But how do we do this? Many people have other responsibilities outside of class and school. Many are responsible to work, to take care of themselves and or a family. They have family to take care of, and then they have school and study hours. In addition to all these major responsibilities, there are minor responsibilities tied to it. We are at least responsible to sit down and feed ourselves, and many are responsible to cook, prepare for, and feed a family. Additionally, we must fix things and keep things in our lives clean, and then there is drive time from one place to another. We have to do all this and somehow find time to do this, so that when we do finally sit down to study, our brains are rested enough to do this. How do we do all this? How do we set ourselves up for success even with all our responsibilities? That's where time management comes in. The first step is to know exactly how much time we are committed to so we can make a plan. Meet Tanisha. Tanisha is a pre-health science student excited to begin her program. And before the semester started, Tanisha talked to her job to make sure she would have Mondays and Wednesdays off so she could attend her live classes. Now Tanisha is ready to plan her weekly schedule. First, she's going to block out or fill in those times that she will be in class. Next, she is going to fill in her work hours. Tanisha has agreed to work Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 8 to 6, so she's going to block that time out. Now Tanisha can stop and think about what times there are that are not officially scheduled, but she is occupied doing some other responsibilities. She knows that on Monday through Friday, she gets herself and her kids up, she gets her kids ready, she gets them to school and herself to work or school. So she is going to fill that time between 6 and 8 in right now. Tanisha is also responsible to pick her kids up from school on Mondays and Wednesdays, get them started on their homework, and prepare dinner. On Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, she has a family member who picks her kids up, but she is still responsible to get dinner going. So she is going to block that time out. Tanisha is now ready to look for her study hours, but to do that, she needs to first know how many hours she should schedule. So she looks at her college schedule and notices there is a column for credit hours. At the bottom of the schedule, there is a row for total credit hours, and she sees that her total credit hours are 14. Using the college rule, she multiplies 14 times 2 and 14 times 3. She finds out that she needs to schedule 28 to 42 hours of study time in her week. So looking back at the schedule she already has, she sees that she's done with most everything by 7 o'clock each night. She thinks that she could study until about 10 o'clock at night and still be productive. So she is going to block those 3 hours a night in for studying. Tanisha now has 21 study hours, but her minimum need is 28. So she looks at her schedule again and notices that on Mondays and Wednesdays, she arrives at school by 8 a.m., but her first class isn't until 10. She is going to set that time aside for studying as well. Tanisha now has 25 study hours scheduled in her week. She is starting to feel the pinch. She doesn't have a lot of time left over, and she's trying to keep her Sundays open so her family doesn't feel like she's missing. She will be busy the rest of the week. She does realize that on Sundays, her family meal is earlier in the day, and she could study after that. She can still have her family time before that happens. So she's going to both block out that extra hours for study and block in her family time to protect it. Tanisha has now fully filled her schedule and she feels pretty good about it. But she also knows she only has her 28 hours. That was the minimum. She is a little concerned that she's working 40-hour work week and a 40-hour school and study week, and can see by looking at her schedule, if anything happens, she won't have a lot of room. So she is going to talk to her friends and her advisor to see what suggestions they might have in case anything goes wrong.